Hi folks, we're Tasteless today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the performance and the goings on, if you like, what went down in the first, what's in Britain's called Prime Minister's Question Time, where the opposition gets the right to ask the Prime Minister of the government questions. What are you doing about this? What happened with that, and so on. So it's, I think, in general terms, anyway, or traditionally, is a good place for the government to be questioned and held to account. Now, how effectively they are held to account is quite another matter, but nonetheless. Now, to add sort of some more context to this, the Tory party that had governed terribly badly for over a decade in the UK. Massively increasing mass migration and so on. They were turfed out of office for promising to cut migration and that sort of thing, but instead hugely increasing it. And they just quite justifiably were hammered at the election. But of course, this brought in the even more globalist Labour Party, who, like the Democrats in the US, have become the party of the globalists, and they're even increasing migration even more than it was before. So the situation in the UK is deteriorating rapidly for all UK citizens. But coming back to the question time now, the Tory leader recently, they decided for I don't know, cosmetic reasons, I suppose, to put Kemi Badenoch. Now her name, she's a Nigerian. Her name's she was an anchor baby born in Britain, but her name's like Olakimi, Olafobо, Umaboto, or something like that. So actually, I should have had that written down here. But so she's the black chick with dreadlocks, and she talks like she's in a senior high school girly debating team, and she's got that tone and that manner about her. And anyway, they elected her, supposedly elected. I don't believe it, actually. I think that because the Tory party is largely controlled by the globalists, I think the membership was strong-armed into, or arm-twisted into voting for, if they just didn't fabricate the votes at all. But in question time, now this is her first gig in question time. So she's been sort of a minister, and not like she hasn't been in Parliament for a while, but this is her first question time as leader. So she's meant to be sort of leading the attack, holding the government to account, all this sort of thing. And it's very different to be sort of someone who has a bit of responsibility to someone who now carries the responsibility of the opposition party. That's a different game. It's always easy to look at someone doing a job with greater responsibility than yours and think, that's easy, I could do that. Very different when you're sitting in the chair, and I can speak from, not in politics, but in business, I can speak from personal experience on that. So she gets and this is her first day in the job asking the questions. So it's got to be a bit of a nervous experience, and it clearly was. I mean, just looking at her. And but instead of settling into the job, maybe sort of asking some questions, instead she goes looking for the kill shot. Now her advisors and handlers and analysts and whatever other hangers on around to put her up to this. I wouldn't have done that. I would have thought, okay, I'd have looked at it and thought, no, okay, you're a little bit nervous. Here's your first day in job. You are, after all, an affirmative action hire. You haven't earned anything that you have. So we're going to have to take this a little bit slowly. So let's ask some reasonable questions, but don't go for the kill shot, because then you put huge pressure on yourself and you'll exhaust yourself looking for a kill shot. And if you don't get the timing right, you misfire it and don't set the trap up, then you're going to look like the idiot, and they're going to come back at you and they're going to make you look stupid and ineffective, which will then undermine your capacity to be effective later on. You need a certain amount of confidence and focus to get through these things. So I would have handled it differently. I would have advised Kemi differently. But let's come back to the raw material of it all. When she did ask the questions again, she's looking for the kill shot here, and she's looking to try and embarrass and so on. Now, to make matters worse, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, just ignored her questions, in effect, and just laughed and jeered at her and didn't answer the question. The Speaker of the House, who's meant to say, hey, you got to ask the question, you got to answer it, didn't do that, didn't hold the Prime Minister accountable. You've been asked a question, answer it. And so he just effortlessly invaded the questions and made ridiculous statements to waffle and obfuscate the point. And one of the questions was, you've said terrible things about President-elect Donald Trump in the past. When he next visits the UK, will you invite him to address Parliament? Yes or no? And then Keir Starmer just waffled that and didn't answer it one way or another, which he should have. He should have come out with profound apologies for what was said before. And then say, hey, no, the most important thing is our relationship. And should the president come to the United Kingdom, then yes, he will be invited, as other visiting dignitaries are, or world leaders are, to address Parliament. Remember, the president of the United States is not just the head of government, he's the head of state. And so you can't get much more of a world leader than that. So anyway, so the question didn't get answered. But in looking for the kill shot, she put a lot of pressure on herself. She tried some other kill shots and tried to get a little bit too smart and say, hey, Prime Minister, why don't you answer a question without looking at it, without reading from a script? Kemi Badenoch had notes in front. I don't think it was a script. I think it might have been notes. The way she looked at it suggested it was maybe bullet points, something like that. And so, but then he shot back and said, that's a bit, words to the effect of, that's a bit rich coming from you, given you're reading your question from a script. So everybody laughed and jeered at her for that. So she got an own goal on that one. Then she tried something else, suggesting that the government was behaving like a bunch of kids in a student council, which is right, by the way, they do. You'd think they were in some first-year sociology debating club, the way they behave, but then that's how Kemi Badenoch behaves. So they were able to shoot back and say, hey, if you're talking about student council politics, you could give a masterclass on that. And again, she got done with an own goal. So now she tried to brass it out and sort of put a brave face on it, but you can see she was visibly shaken by this, and so she didn't. But again, she set herself, or her handlers did anyway, set herself up for that by looking for a kill shot on day one and minute one. I'm gonna hold these bums to account and ask some piercing questions, and I'm gonna just show them up as being no. You weren't ready for that level of combat. Now your willingness to go into it, fine. But let's go back and look at Kemi Badenoch. Kemi Badenoch was an anchor baby, born in the UK to Nigerian, heavily pregnant mother, turns up in Britain and has the baby, then goes straight back to Nigeria, where she's brought up in a wealthy family, like a very international school. She's not going out to some bush school with a local pidgin English teacher or something like that. She's getting the best education that Nigeria can offer in an international school. Again, wealthy, well-connected family, so they're not going without food or anything like that. Also, trips to the United States and stays in the United States for a while, then comes and does, as I understand it, senior high school in Britain, and then doing university in I think Britain and the United States, as if my memory serves me correctly. So again, she's led a privileged, wealthy existence. Now she isn't, as an adult, she finishes university, isn't out of university that long before she's gifted one of the safest electoral districts in the country. This is someone with no political experience, no credentials of any sort that I can detect, at least, and is gifted one of the plumbest, most coveted, safe electoral districts in the country. Now she's parachuted in. The local membership aren't voting for her. There's no one saying, hey, she's a great candidate. Here's this black chick with dreadlocks. She's even running around saying, vote for me because I'm the black chick. And she's running around, no credentials at all, and other than a privileged African, corrupt tin pot existence, and then she ends up being gifted this safe seat. And this, of course, is absolute nonsense. There is no way that she would have won that on any form of merit. If she had to go out on her own and just front up, say, "Hey, my name's Ulakimi Yelophobo Emaboto, why don't you vote to me?" She wouldn't have got a snowball's chance. So she gets one of the safest seats in the country, which means she was given that over the top of a gazillion qualified white people that should have been given it. Then she gets into Parliament and then is fast-tracked again, the black chick, affirmative action, and is fast-tracked into given, senior parliamentary positions and then ministerial portfolios and so on. So she's fast-tracked into that. Again, nothing has been earned at this point. Again, every time I've seen her talking, not that I haven't agreed with some of the things she said, I have. She said, I think immigration needs to be reduced. People who come to Britain need to, want to integrate into the British society. I agree with those things. Whether she means them or not, it's another matter. I mean, they could easily be talking points given to her by her handlers, but and I suspect they are. But nonetheless, she was affirmative action gifted everything she has. There is nothing where she's had to perform or achieve any standard of merit. And I would argue, in my view at least, I would argue that her being gifted the leadership of the Tory party, using the mirage of she was voted for by the membership, I just don't believe that. That she's going to be an effective Tory opposition leader in the UK Parliament. Now, she may grow into the job and certainly do better than she has on the first day. And again, her handlers, I don't think, are giving her very good advice. So she was overreaching her capability. But her capabilities aren't high. You can't talk with that snot-nosed high school girly debating team tone. That's not going to really achieve anything, I don't think. And then some people are trying to compare her to Margaret Thatcher. So, oh, she's a new Margaret Thatcher. No, she isn't. Margaret Thatcher, whatever you might think of her, there's a lot of merit and accomplishment in her. I mean, she got a degree, and I think in chemistry, at a time when it was strictly based on merit. So we're talking about a capable person here. And you look at Margaret Thatcher's presentation and her manner and so on. And Kemi Badenoch is not Margaret Thatcher. Now, could she become a Margaret Thatcher or at least be more effective over time? I suppose so. If she gets better advice, that's one thing. As she becomes more comfortable in the job, as in, she spends more time at the dispatch box asking questions and so on, then she will settle into it, at least more so than she is currently. And I'll come back to that in a minute because it can be a difficult experience, that especially this you're in a place with 600 odd people watching you, and you put a word out of place or something like here, then you can be the subject of jeering and derision. Indeed, as she has been on that first day. So and she looked quite shaken up at one point. Just a little aside here. I remember the first time I got promoted to I got a job as a VP, and it was a new company. I'd moved from one company to another, got another job, was given the VP's job, and the CEO, I think it was the CEO or the chairman of the board, I can't remember which now. He I mean, 6 years ago. I don't think I was even 30 at this point, but he said, "Oh, look, come along. Here's some few people I want you to meet. This is my first day," and he takes me along a corridor next to sort of like in the office building where this auditorium is, and he said, he just comes to a door. He said, "Oh, just go in there. I'll be along in a moment." So I walk in through there. He doesn't tell me anything. Okay. I just walk in through the door, and I'm in front of, like, on a stage in front of 400 odd people who are there. It's like the annual meeting or something. And he doesn't tell me any of this. I'd like you to address the, he just said, "I'll just go in through that door there." And I walked in. Suddenly these 400, and he's gone. So I look around for him. Where's he gone? He walks back down the corridor, then comes in through another door, which leads into the back of the auditorium. and I'm standing there, sort of, what's happening here, and looking a little bit nonplussed and quite perplexed, and a bit of a confronting sort of scene. I'm sure, am I meant to do something here? Again, he hasn't given me any guidance. And then from the back, he shouts, "Well, go on then. Tell us, what you're going to do." And so, and I remember getting off to quite a shaky start, sort of, what do I say? What do I do? Now, maybe there's some people who've been around longer could go, right, bingo, here's my big opportunity for greatness. But I was quite taken aback by it. If he'd said, "Look, I'd like you to address we're having the annual meeting here. I'd like you to address the employees and outline your vision for the future," or something like that, and I'd had time to prepare, then that would have been fine. But sort of throw me in like this. So I understand what it's like to you're in front of the crowd there, and you have to perform, and it can be a confronting exercise. Now, you feel for anyone who's doing that for the first time. And I've seen a number of people who get freshly appointed to the opposition leadership, and it is a tough gig. I think they all make the mistake, or certainly the ones I've seen, of coming in, trying to come in hard with guns a-blazing, looking for the kill shot. I don't think that's a good idea. I think if you start the first few times asking, again, questions, would the Prime Minister confirm that he's taking all measures to reduce illegal immigration, and explain to the Parliament what those measures are? That's a clear question. It's a topical question. It is an issue. Ask that. But it's a soft question. There's no the opposite. The Prime Minister or the other politician is going to, here's an opportunity for me to, and they'll do a little bit of grandstanding and so on. And then you can approach that far more softly and gently. Now, if an opportunity presents itself and the other guy says something really dumb, then you can pounce on that. But otherwise, just let it go. Then ask a few questions like that. Same for the next day or two, or the next question time or two. Then when you're starting to be comfortable, you're getting sure of yourself. You're in the zone. Then start looking for kill shots. So I think her handlers didn't do her, or whoever was in that position, didn't do her any good service. So I think she undermined her own situation and her own confidence too, I would think. But we need to come back to the material point of this. She's an affirmative action hire. The electoral district she was gifted, she never could have got at that under any sort of merit. The ministerial appointment, the senior guy, could never have got those under any form of merit. So we need to understand that she's an affirmative action hire, trying to perform well above her capacity, given that she's had no merit. Her ability to do a snotty schoolgirl retort to dumbass other members of Parliament, woke members asking her stupid questions, and she can spit out a schoolgirly sort of retort to that. That's not parliamentary performance. Far from it. You've been a taskless today. Your pushback channel. Thank you for listening.